In this lesson, we are going to talk about how to graph systems of equations. So what is a system of equations? A system of equations is a set of two or more linear equations in the same variables. An example is shown below. So this entire chapter, we are going to talk about 3 different ways you could solve systems of equations. Today is going to be the first way. The first way is going to be through graphing. So how to solve a systems of linear equations by graphing. Here is step number 1. You are going to graph the equations. Sometimes you'll have to use MBPOI. Other times you'll have to graph using intercepts. So hopefully you still remember from chapter 2. After you graph the equations, you are going to find the point of intersection. That is going to be your answer. Wherever those 2 lines cross, that will be your solution. Step 3 is going to be, you can check your answer if you have time. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So it is just really 2 steps. So let's do this first example here. Solve this. Okay, so sometimes it might be helpful if you have, I'm going to just use 2 different colors. So in this red one, what is your MBPOI? M is equal to 2, B is equal to 5, POI is 0, 5. In the blue one over here, M is equal to -4, B is equal to -1, POI is 0, -1. So all I have to do is now plot them and graph them. So this first one right here, I will graph over here, 0, 5 with a slope of 2. So 0, 5, which is right here, slope of 2. For this one, I would draw your dots all the way to the end. This is what I really recommend and encourage all students to do. And the reason is sometimes your lines aren't the straightest, and by doing the dots all the way, you will create the straightest line as you are solving these graphs. So that is the red line right there. The blue line, same way, -1. Down 4/1, down 4/1, up 4, left 1. However, once they cross, like it just did right there, you could stop your points. So I'm going to stop my points right here. Why? It looked like they intersected right here, both lines, and that is what coordinate? That is -1, 3. So that is it. You just have to graph it and plot it. You could always check your work. Remember, this is your x value, this is your y value. Plug it into both of these equations. Remember, you have to plug it into both. You can't just plug it into one of them. You have to plug it into both. My solution I got with -1, 3. You can check your answer. Check. Check. I'm going to take both of these equations of y equals 2x plus 5. Plug in 3 for y, 2 times -1 plus 5. 3 is equal to -2 plus 5. I have 3 equals 3. That works. Same thing with the next one. I have y equals -4x minus 1. You have 3 is equal to -4 times -1 minus 1. 3 equals 4 minus 1. 3 equals 3. If both of these work out, that means you have the right answer. So my solution is going to be -1, 3. Once again, if I'm ever going too fast in this video, you could always pause and rewatch and rewind and go through these notes again. Why don't you try the next one? You could try it with the people around you, or you could try it on your own. Doesn't matter. Find your MBPOI and a graph and plot all of the points, and you should find your point of intersection. All right, so here I'll do this one as well. Here's M, here's blue. M is equal to 1, B is -1, POI is 0, -1. M is equal to -1, B is equal to 3, POI is 0, 3. 0, -1. I know it's tedious, but I really want to stress the importance of doing all of these dots. Because it will just help you out in the long run. Okay, and then for this one, 0, 3, down 1/1, down 1/1. Once again, after they cross, you could just stop doing the dots. So in this problem, looks like it crossed at this point right here. This point was 2 comma 1. So 2 comma 1 is the solution to your answer. Okay. All right, flip it over to the back and let's get started with a word problem right here. A kicker on a football team scores 1 point for making an extra point and 3 points for making a field goal. The kicker makes a combined total of 8 extra points and field goals in the same game and scores 12 points. Write and solve a system of linear equations to find the number of extra points and the number of field goals. Step 1, always define your variable. I'm looking for what? Number of extra points, number of field goals. So let's say x equals number of extra points and y is equal to number of field goals. So that's what I'm solving for. So this is where you really have to pay attention to your units, because all of the numbers with the units that are the same unit are going to go in the same sentence. So take a look at here. 1 point, 3 points, 12 points. So that means somehow all 3 of those numbers have to add up to the same, or have to be in the same equation. So let's take a look. 1 point for what? Making an extra point. What variable did we say was extra point? We said it was x, so it'd be 1x. And is a keyword for addition. 3 points for making a field goal. 3y, because we said y was the number of field goals. How many total points does it cost? Or not cost, how many total points did they score? Scored 12 points. So that's the first equation that you have. You have 1x plus 3y is equal to 12. The next equation, well, what other number are you given here? You're given the number 8. Well, what does it say? The kicker makes a combined total of 8 extra points and field goals in the same game. So if I were to add the number of extra points and the number of field goals, they would have to add up to 8. Here we go. I have the number of extra points. The number of field goals have to add up to what? 8. So I have x plus y is equal 8. More often than not, one of your equations is going to be x plus y. So just be aware of that. Then those are the 2 equations that you have to graph and solve now. So from here, you can just solve for y, right? You have to find your MBPOY, or you can actually graph this using intercepts. But we'll just do MBPOY for this problem. So in this first one right here, subtract x, I have 3y is equal to negative x plus 12. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. I have y is equal to negative x over 3 plus 4. In this problem, my MBPOY is m is equal to negative 1 over 3. B is equal to 4. My POI is 0, 4. This one right here, subtract x, I have y is equal to negative x plus 8. M is equal to negative 1. B is equal to 8. I have 0, 8. All right, now let's graph both of these lines. 0, 4. My slope is negative 1 over 3, negative 1 over 3. So your graph should kind of look like this. Right? And then my other graph, 0, 8. And what is my slope? Negative 1. So I go down 1 over 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. Looks like they cross right there. So where do they cross? They cross at this point. What is this point? This is 6, 2. So what does that mean? That means they scored what? 6 extra points, because that's what x represents, and 2 field goals. So that's the number of extra points and field goals the kicker kicked. Okay? All right, why don't you try the next one on your own? I would use Desmos to graph your equations. If you don't know how to use Desmos, that's okay. You could just go to desmos.com. You could ask the person next to you to kind of help you out with that. And then we'll go over that and call it a day. All right, so let's get started with this one as well. There are 26 students in your class. There are 8 more girls than boys. Write a system linear equation that represents the situation. Use Desmos to graph your equation. You do not need to copy the graph onto your notes. Define your variables. Say x is equal to boys and y is equal to girls. There are 26 total students in my class. So what's the first equation then going to be? It'll just be x plus y is equal to 26, because that's the total number of students. If I were to add boys plus girls, it would be 26. However, there are 8 more girls than boys. Right, so what do I have to do to the number of boys? You have to add 8 to the number of boys. So here's the next equation, y is equal to x plus 8. Even though it looks like 8 more girls, so even though it looks like you're going to do 8 plus y is equal to x, that's really not the way it is, because you're adding 8 to the number of boys to get the number of girls. So that's why in your head, it may help you if you get some problem like this to do the opposite of what is told. Opposite of what is told. Okay, and then from here it says to use Desmos. So here I am, I'm going to use Desmos. If you don't know what Desmos is, it is a really good graphing tool, and I'll show you what it is on the right side. So all you have to do from here is plug in these equations. In this equation right here, you have x plus y equals 26. The next equation, you have y equals x plus 8. Boom. And then you just have to find this point of intersection. Looks like this intersects at 9, 17. So that means it is 9, 17. So what does that mean in the context of the problem? That means there are 9 boys and 17 girls. Okay? All right, that is it for today's lesson. On one of the problems on your CYU today, you will have to use Desmos as well. All you have to do is go to desmos.com and click on the graphing calculator option. Don't forget to circle your level of understanding and write it on the Edpuzzle as well. All right, have a good day. Bye, everyone.